Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing Magic, and Mysticism. Well, just wanted to do a new video, and this video is going to be about the Fool, specifically the Fool card from the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. I actually have another video that talks about the Magician card, so if you're interested in that, please check that out. But I have a tremendous respect for the Tarot. I have several decks, but I think my heart belongs to the Rider-Waite because of all of the deep occult symbolism that is within the cards. So I've chosen the Fool to talk about today. So just to jump in, before I do, just a reminder is that I typically put links in the descriptions under the videos. For example, there have been a few people this week who've requested readings from me to them. So if you're interested in that, I'll put my email address and just email me about whatever it is that you're trying to seek knowledge about. Alright, so let's jump in. So, the Fool. So, as far as the Fool is concerned, I'm going to actually show you a card in case you have not seen the Fool card before. So, I'm going to just mention a couple physical observations first. So, if you look at the Fool, he is facing away from the sun. Sun being the source of illumination, of light, of reason and logic. He's facing away from it and he's looking up, so he's still looking towards the heavens at some sort of maybe higher purpose. He's thinking to himself, he may be having a vision. Something may be guiding his imagination. You see, he has a pole with his personal belongings at the end, which tells me that he is very committed to whatever he is thinking about and moving towards. Now, what is he moving towards? Well, he's on the edge of a cliff. So there is a potential loss of self, loss of self, symbolically loss of life, if we took it literally. He has one foot planted on the cliff and one foot off the ground, which means that he's unstable. Although this is how we kind of walk a little bit, you know, we're never completely in balance. We're constantly walking and recovering our balance when we step. His is a little bit off the ground, so he is potentially unstable on two fronts. One is about to go up the cliff, and the other one, his foot's up. So this guy is heading towards the unknown. He's heading towards the unseen. And it could go either way for him. Alright, so I'm going to put that down. Talk a little bit about the Fool. So, the Fool, as it is in the major arcana, it's the first card of the major arcana. It is the beginning of the journey. The cards of the major arcana indicate the journey that one goes through in life. That's why they're so helpful in readings. They're the major influences, and the Fool is no less a major influence. And by the way, I want to preface this by saying that I understand that any of these cards, including the Fool, are contextualized by the other cards that are in a spread. I also understand that it is contextualized with the question that the querent, the seeker, is trying to find out about. So please don't leave any comments about that. That's common sense. So the Fool himself or herself, whoever the querent is the Fool necessarily foolish? I know that when I first saw the Fool card in a tarot deck when I was like 11 years old, I was thinking to myself, okay, if I saw that, then that might mean this person's about to make a big mistake. He's potentially being an idiot, and you know, I've got to maybe warn somebody and, you know, spread when I see that. Well, that's maybe superficial, not very nuanced understanding of the Fool. but it is in keeping with maybe what an 11-year-old might think when they're starting to look at the tarot for the first time. So, but is the Fool really foolish? The Fool steps again into the unseen, into the unknown. The Fool is full of potential. Great things can come from the Fool. Now, the Fool himself is sometimes very innocent, sometimes very naive. But the Fool is open. And the Fool many times is being guided by something inside himself towards something potentially wonderful and amazing and great. I think that, when people start their own business and everything is stacked against them and they don't have any money, and yet they feel the pull to do this for themselves, and they wind up succeeding. At the beginning of that journey, they are the Fool. And that Fool is not necessarily a bad thing. The Fool is full of energy and full of a potential drive to move through the thicket to something possible. So again, more about the Fool. A good example of the Fool, for those of y'all Star Wars fans, think of Episode 4, the original A New Hope, the original Star Wars first movie. Here you have Luke Skywalker, whose aunt and uncle have just been killed by the Empire. As far as he knows, he has no family. He's unemployed. He's a kid, and he's willing to follow this robed old man who he does not even really know into space. That is the Fool. Now, we know from the end of A New Hope how he becomes a hero, but we don't know that in the beginning. So another observation. From another, perspective, we are all the Fool in some regards. We all sometimes embark forward, not knowing where we're necessarily going or where we will end up. There are times when there's twists and turns and we get confused and we make mistakes, but we press forward. We press forward because we have that desire. Maybe we're called. Maybe we're marching to the beat of a different drummer. Some people even probably would call us foolish. Oh, that you're being stupid. You shouldn't become a musician and drop out of high school. And yet, some people have become very successful doing that. They were called by the muse towards their music. Even as far as making mistakes, that's always going to happen. We all make mistakes, and hopefully we learn from them, and hopefully mistakes aren't too bad, so that we can kind of get back onto our path of our calling, of where we're being drawn towards. But even then, there are times in our lives when we're still being kind of the Fool, or the spirit of the Fool. Even Luke Skywalker, even after A New Hope, where he became the big hero and much loved and all of that, and Empire Strikes Back, here we see him in the beginning of the movie, deep kissing his own sister. That is the spirit of the Fool. So I leave you with that note. Tell me maybe in your comments about how maybe the Fool has helped direct your life. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in a future video.